Welcome back to the Mountain Morning Show, right here on Park City Television. Have you ever gotten ready for an interview or just got done with an interview and got to that line that says salary compensation and just didn't know what to put there? You didn't want to oversell yourself, you didn't want to undersell yourself. It's kind of an awkward situation, but we have an expert here to iron all of those weird details out. Bill Humbert, the recruiter guy, you know him. He's been on the show plenty of times, and we're excited to have him here today. Bill, how are you doing?
Diego, I'm well. How about yourself?
I'm doing excellent.
Awesome.
And just great to see you again. Let's get right into it. What's the first step? Because I know when I have been into interviews and been through that process, that is the gleaming line that shines out to me that kind of just like, whoa, don't even touch it, don't look at it, don't talk about it.
Yeah.
How do you step around that? How do you manage that?
You know, when I'm consulting with people who are out of work, what I see is
yeah, it is. It's a gleaming line. It's like blinding. Like I don't even want to look at it. I don't want to touch it, even though it's one of the most important factors about your new job, right?
It is, and there's always that fear, especially when you're out of work. Am I going to make as much money as I did before? And the best thing to do, I hate to say this, companies turn off your televisions right now. I hate to say this, is don't give them a number.
Okay. And why is that?
Well, the first party who puts a number on the table loses leverage.
Okay, so it's just the art of negotiation, right?
It is. It is. Think about when you sell a house. What happens? You put a number on the table. And what happens? Somebody tries to come in and go lower. Well, the same thing happens when you're trying to do salary negotiation. If you put a number on the table first, then what could happen? Number one, they could have been willing to pay you more.
And now they look at it like, look at this, we're getting a steal.
We want to make them happy. Or the other thing that could happen is you put a number there and they go, well, yeah, but you need this kind of training, you need that kind of training, and you know, so they knock it down. Best not to put any number there.
So no number at all, just leave it blank.
Yep. Well, you can't if it's non-line.
Okay.
And what I used to coach people, you know, I've been doing this for a long time. Back in the 80s, I used to coach people, write the word open.
Oh, open negotiation.
Open doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
And never put, if you have the opportunity, never write negotiable.
Okay.
I've seen that misspelled every single conceivable
that right there
way.
Will sink your salary right there. Can't even spell negotiate. So
that's right. so you can't write open anymore.
Okay.
And so again, companies don't turn it back on yet. What you have to do is write one.
So you just have to, because you're saying that these computer programs now have filters to catch these. It won't even let you advance to the next page or whatever if you don't put in some sort of numeral there. So you're just saying to put in the lowest value possible, 1.
Just put 1.
Isn't that going to raise some questions in the interview, maybe?
Absolutely, but it's easy. Here's what you do. Everybody's had a system that broke, right? So you go, you got a 1? I put a number in there. Is something wrong with your system?
Okay. Okay. So you just turn it back on the system.
You blame it on the system.
You blame it on the system. Because ultimately, I see where you're coming from in the sense that ultimately you're going to have to negotiate the salary anyway. So rather than sell yourself short or overvalue yourself and make the employer kind of turned off to the initial value that you put, just leave it open for negotiation, like you said. And the way to do that now is just by putting 1. 1. Okay, well, it's simple as that. Just to be devil's advocate here, would that maybe irritate an employer, a future employer? Would that maybe, as an employer, would that make me maybe be like standoffish?
So the way you handle that though is they'll go, well, what are you looking for? And so you know, for me, I wear these hats like this.
Yeah, you go from the employer
I'm the recruiter.
to the,
That's right. I'm the recruiter, and then I'm back over here transition coaching, back and forth. And as a recruiter, that's my third question. What are you looking for? You know, in 8 states, either you cannot or soon may not ask a candidate what their current salary is.
Okay.
And that's because, you know, it's well documented that women tend to get paid less for the same job. So if you're going to give whoever you hire 5% more, this person by definition is going to get more than this person. So it's always going to stay the same. So what I suggest people say is, you know, I really don't know what the job entails yet. I don't know really what your expectations are. You don't know anything about me other than what's on my resume. Isn't it too early to talk money? So that's the first step in that conversation. So what you've told them is the truth. And then the second step will come after the recruiter, and that will be when the manager talks to you.
And that's like the actual negotiation that's happening, right, between you and the manager.
Right. So that's when the manager says, I saw one on your application. What are you looking for? So now you come to the script that I've got in my book. Until I know what the job entails, until I know what you expect from me, until I know where I can grow within this company over the next 4 or 5 years, I cannot make an intelligent assessment on a fair level of compensation.
I like that a lot, because that's totally right. How are you supposed to know exactly what your job responsibilities are going to be, whether they're going to grow or shrink over the next 4 or 5 years, whether you may be bumped up in a position, promotions? That's great. I never thought of it in that sense of saying, respectfully, I don't think I can intelligently answer that question because I don't know exactly what the job's going to entail at this point.
Right.
And that's a fair answer. I mean, a manager can't look at you and say, well,
give me a number.
Give me a number. Exactly, because it's like I feel like that's a very respectful and professional answer in that sense. And one thing I was going to talk about right away was it's easy to talk about this, but when you're in the heat of an interview, it's hard to remember these kinds of tips and this advice. So your book is a great resource for that, because you have this, like you said, kind of like a script. It's almost like played out like dialogue between the employee and the employer in what to expect. And so your book, Employee 5.0 Secrets of a Successful Job Search in the New World Order, is now out, and it talks about it. There's a whole section on it. You don't like to call your chapters, you like to call them steps, right?
Yes.
And so step 11 is all about this whole dialogue process, right?
That's correct, yes.
And so where can people find your book?
Well, it's at Dolly's Bookstore. Has been selling them off the shelves. I deliver 3 more on Sunday.
Really? Congratulations.
Yeah,
That's
thanks.
excellent.
And it's also available in Salt Lake City at Weller's Bookworks in Charlie Square.
Okay.
It's available at the Book Escape in Baltimore, Maryland.
Wow, congratulations. That's awesome.
And soon on Barnes & Noble.
Very, very nice. Yeah. Well, there's some great tips in there and it kind of walks you, the steps kind of walk you through the whole process from beginning to end. Obviously, salary negotiation being 11 out of 12 towards the very end, but there's everything that you could ever want here when looking for a new job. Just one last question before we get out of this. What advice would you take for someone who's looking at a new position, who's maybe thinking about how to approach this whole salary compensation?
Well, first of all, it's important to know kind of what your worth is. But what I would suggest you do is you create a spreadsheet. And the first column is compensation, bonus, benefits, whatever they're worth. Second is what your current company pays you or paid you. The third is what your minimum acceptable would be.
And the fourth.
And then the fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth, what are all the offers that you receive from different companies. So you can compare them peaches to peaches, apples to apples.
That's great. Easy way to make a spreadsheet, quick way to analyze all those numbers and kind of weigh out the apples and oranges there. So that's a great way.
Yep.
Bill, where can people find you online?
RecruiterGuy.com is the best place. You can also, my publisher just created a YouTube channel.
Excellent.
For Employee 5.0.
Very nice.
And a lot of our Park City Career Network or Park City TV interviews are there.
Excellent. So this is a great resource to go in and check out that as well.
Yeah.
Perfect, Bill. Thanks as always for your advice. There's some great advice on here as well. As Bill said, be sure and know exactly what the job's going to entail. Know what you're worth, and kind of have an idea of what you should expect before you go into the job, so you don't look at that number and don't get blinded by it and don't run away from it, because it can be scary. We have much more coming up here in the second hour of the Mountain Morning Show, so don't go anywhere.